iOS 27 might be Apple's biggest iPhone update in years, because it's finally fixing everything people hate about iOS. Better battery life, fewer bugs, smarter AI, a completely rebuilt Siri that can actually understand what's on your screen and do stuff for you. But hidden inside this update is something even bigger. iOS 27 is reportedly being built for Apple's first ever foldable iPhone, with multitasking, side-by-side apps, and a completely new iPhone experience. And honestly, this whole thing feels a lot like Snow Leopard, the calm before Apple's next major era begins. So let's get into it. Before anything else, we need to talk about Snow Leopard. Back in 2009, Apple released a new version of macOS. No flashy redesigns, no giant new apps, nothing. And somehow it became one of the best updates Apple ever made. Because instead of adding more stuff, they focused on fixing the foundation. The Mac got faster, smoother, more stable, and just better to use every single day. That's exactly what iOS 27 feels like. Apple is reportedly going deep on performance, battery life, bug fixes, and cleaning up years of messy iOS code that's been piling up in the background. They're also going back and cleaning up the liquid glass design from iOS 26, fixing the readability and transparency issues people complained a lot about. On paper, that might sound kind of boring, but that's only half the story. Because while Apple is tightening things up on one side, they're completely rebuilding Siri on the other. Alright, I always say this, let's be real, Siri has been a complete joke for years. Set a timer, call mom, play music, basic things. The second you ask it to do anything more complicated, it either pulls up a random web search, which is so irritating by the way, or just says something like, sorry, I didn't understand that. Apple apparently finally realized that too. In iOS 27, Siri is reportedly being rebuilt from the ground up. The biggest change is something called on-screen awareness. So basically, Siri can now understand what you're actually looking at on your iPhone in real time. So imagine you're on a restaurant's page and you say book a table for Saturday at 7 p.m. You don't need to say the restaurant name, you don't need to copy any links, because Siri already sees what's on your screen and just handles it. That is a completely different experience from the Siri we have now. Siri is also reportedly getting what's being called personal context. Your emails, your calendar, your messages, your files, all of it. So instead of digging through your inbox trying to find a gate number before a flight, Siri can just surface it automatically because it already knows you're traveling. That's genuinely the first time Siri has sounded actually useful in years. Apple is also reportedly building a dedicated Siri chatbot app, basically a real ChatGPT style experience with voice conversations, text chat, chat history, and the ability to upload files and images. So you'll finally be able to have a real back and forth conversation with Siri instead of starting from scratch every single time. But the Siri rebuild is only part of the AI story, because Apple isn't just improving its own AI, it's opening the door to everyone else's. Apple, the company that keeps everything locked down, the our way or no way company, is letting you choose which AI powers your iPhone. Apparently, Apple is working on a dedicated extension section inside the App Store, basically a marketplace for third-party AI integrations. So you could potentially have different AI models powering different features across iOS. Instead of Apple forcing one AI onto everyone, they're turning iOS into a platform where the best AI tools can plug in. That's a massive shift. So Apple has partnered with Google specifically for some of these features, using a Gemini-based model to help power parts of Siri and Apple Intelligence. Part of that reads as Apple admitting they're behind in AI. But another way to look at it is that this is actually the smartest move they could make, because instead of rushing out a weak model just to compete, they're partnering with companies that already lead in the space. That's probably the better move, right? But it's still definitely worth thinking about. Now, there are 3 major AI photo features coming to iOS 27, but instead of just listing them off, let me actually explain explain how they work together. Let's say you take a photo and it sucks. Maybe the subject is too close to the edge, the background is cut off, or the lighting looks flat. We've all been there, I'm sure. Now, with these new AI tools, your iPhone can fix the photo after you've already taken it. Extend can generate more background around the image, so it looks like the shot was framed properly the whole time. Enhance automatically improves the lighting, colors, and detail without making the image look over-filtered or fake. And reframe. This one is specifically for spatial photos. It lets you shift the perspective of a shot after the fact and pulls out a still image from a different angle. Pretty wild for anyone shooting spatial content. Now, there is one thing worth mentioning here. Apple's internal testing on Extend and Reframe apparently hasn't been perfect yet, so there's a chance some of these tools get delayed or scaled back before launch. Just something to keep in mind. Apple is also finally letting you customize the camera app itself, so you'll be able to rearrange controls, hide buttons you never use, and build a layout that actually works for you. Honestly, that should have existed years ago. Two more quick ones. There's an AI wallpaper generator coming through the Image Playground app for custom lock screens. And then we have Shortcuts. You know, the Shortcuts app. It's finally becoming approachable for normal people. Instead of building complex automations manually, you just describe what you want in plain English, natural language, and your iPhone builds the shortcut for you. Some of these smaller features are going to affect your daily life more than the big AI stuff, like wallet custom passes. You can now scan basically any QR code or barcode, gym memberships, library cards, coffee shop rewards, and store them directly in Apple Wallet. That pile of random cards in your actual wallet can finally disappear. Now we have home screen undo and redo. That's literally the whole feature right there. Let's say you accidentally move an app, destroy your layout, or drop something into the wrong folder. Now you can just simply undo it. So this one also is a little crazy that this didn't exist already. Next up, expanded satellite features. You'll be able to use Apple Maps and send photo attachments through messages even when there's no cellular or Wi-Fi signal anywhere around you. And on the iPhone 18 Pro models with Apple's new CT modem, you're looking at full 5G satellite speeds on top of that. So satellite goes from being an emergency only thing to actually being useful day to day. Then we got accessibility improvements. VoiceOver can now describe images and surroundings in far more detail. There are system-wide generated subtitles, and voice control is becoming more natural to use. Apple's accessibility team consistently builds some of the most genuinely useful features in iOS every year. Like another one, Safari is getting a cleaner start page with separate tabs for bookmarks and history. Weather is getting a redesigned conditions panel with more detailed information. Nothing revolutionary, just solid quality of life improvements that add up. But now we need to talk about the thing Apple is clearly building all of this towards. iOS 27 isn't just preparing for new AI features, it's preparing for Apple's first ever foldable iPhone. I'm super excited for this, to be honest. Imagine closing your iPhone like a book. On the outside, it looks like a normal iPhone with a roughly 5.5-inch display. Nothing crazy, but then when you open it and suddenly you have a 7.8-inch inner screen. That's basically iPad mini sized in your pocket. So that'll be Apple's first foldable iPhone. And the most impressive part isn't the hardware, because honestly, Samsung has been making foldables for years. Hinges aren't new. So what really matters here is the software experience when you actually unfold the phone. Because for the first time ever, iOS is getting a real multitasking on iPhone. I can't wait for this because two apps are going to be running side by side, like even app sidebars too. A layout that shifts between a normal iPhone mode and something much closer to an iPad experience. And the device will obviously run on iOS 27, not iPad OS. Apple is treating this like an iPhone, not some weird hybrid. Developers will get tools to adapt their existing iPhone apps to the bigger screen, so things can scale up and use the extra space. But it still feels like an iPhone. And honestly, I think that's probably the best call. It keeps it feeling familiar instead of confusing or overwhelming for some people. But it also means the actual experience is going to depend depend a lot on whether developers actually put in the work to optimize their apps for it. So we'll just have to see how that plays out exactly. Now, honestly, durability is still a huge question with foldables. Every foldable eventually gets a crease. The hinges do wear down over time. I mean, Apple will probably engineer this better than anyone, but physics is physics. So now let's get into the price. The leaks and rumors that I've seen are pointing to somewhere around $2,000. So this is not going to be for everyone, obviously. The real question isn't whether the technology works, it's whether people actually change how they use their phone because of it, or if most people just leave it folded shut most of the time, because then that'll be kind of pointless. And honestly, I could see both happening. All right, now let's talk about who gets what. iOS 27 is expected to support the iPhone 12 and newer. So yeah, if you've got an iPhone 11 or older, this is probably where support ends for you. But here's the important part. Not every iPhone getting iOS 27 is getting the full iOS 27 experience. Most of the big AI features, the rebuilt Siri, the new AI photo editing tools, are expected to be limited to the iPhone 15 Pro and newer. That effectively creates two versions of iOS 27. Regular iOS 27 and then iOS 27 with Apple Intelligence. Kind of feels like two different products. I guess I get why Apple does this. AI processing is intense and the newer chips are built for it. But if you bought an iPhone 14 Pro not that long ago, yeah, it's probably a little annoying and hard to swallow knowing a lot of the headline features just aren't coming to your phone. And the gap between regular iPhones and the newest Pro models keeps getting bigger every single year. That's something worth paying attention to when you upgrade your iPhones in the future. Now, the good news, we won't have to wait until long to find out what's actually real. WWDC is June 8th, and that's when iOS 27 officially gets revealed. At that point, all of these leaks and rumors stop becoming concepts and start becoming actual products. This feels like the most honest iOS update Apple has made in years. It might not be the flashiest, not the most dramatic, just honest. Apple looked at Siri and basically admitted it wasn't good enough anymore. I mean, we all knew that already though. So they looked at iOS and recognized that years of new features had been layering on top of unresolved problems. So instead of chasing another dramatic redesign, they focused on rebuilding the foundation. And I can respect that, and I'm sure you can too. The same thing applies to the Fold. Apple could have released a foldable years ago just to say they had one. Samsung already proved there's a market for it, but instead they waited until they could build the right software experience around it. That's the part that actually matters. Now, at the same time, the real concerns are still there. The AI feature split between older iPhones and newer Pro models is becoming harder and harder to ignore, because it kind of feels like Apple just does this on purpose to force you to upgrade a phone. And in this economy right now, nobody has the money for that to be upgrading their iPhone every single year, or even every single 2 or 3 years, honestly. And this iPhone Fold is going to cost around $2,000. It might even be more than that. And Apple opening iOS up to Google and other outside AI companies is either one of the smartest moves they've ever made, or the first real crack in the closed ecosystem Apple built its entire identity around. I don't think there's an easy answer to that yet. But before you go, I want to ask one specific question. Apple using Google Gemini to power features inside the iPhone, do you think that's a good move or a bad move? Drop it in the comments so we can discuss it, and thanks for tuning into this video. I'm super excited for iOS 27. I will be making another video to showcase all the new features that come out, and I will see you in the next video.